Perfect. Hello, people. I not use
Hello.
the background because I have always some problems. I start to be the whole background.
Sure.
Hello, people. How are you? How was the day?
It's a good day. We play some game in the beginning of this session.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay, let me share my screen. Put it here. Okay, today I don't have another vocal to play, but I hope it's fine. Wait. Hello, people. How are you? How are you feeling this beautiful day? How is the future? Please give me a spot of Saturday. I need to know if it's gonna be a good Saturday.
The world's ended. Just finish your session and go to bed. It's over.
Future looks good. That's good. We have fun. Okay, great. So let's start this space. So you can also save time. Let me just close my Telegram. It's open. So life is gonna be easier. Perfect. So let me start this space. You already know that like I'm Julia Torres, so I'm not gonna take longer in this part. But actually what I just want to check before we go to the whole session again, I actually just want to know how is the level of energy in this space. So if you can tell me how are you feeling, if you're feeling super energetic, if you're feeling active, calm, but alert, tired, but exhausted. How are you feeling before we start this space? So I can just have some sensing in this way. If you can just put here in the chat. Okay. Oh, I have people on fire. What was the sessions that we have today? Because it seems that you're super excited. We have super energetic, active. Makes sense. Calm but alert, fan off, partnership session. Oh, that's nice. That's why you're super energetic, or maybe calm but alert. Okay, we have different vibes in the group, but I think that's good. I mean, at least we don't have anyone tired or exhausted so far. So I hope this space is gonna give you a bit of energy as well. And yeah, I mean, my level of energy in this period of time, I don't know, because it's basically 3:45 a.m. for me. But I'm gonna do my best. I'm actually not that tired. I mean, I just woke up, so I'm not that tired. So yeah, so let me just introduce you to the space itself. It's the last space of planning. So I really hope that you're super excited for that. And basically, as you already know, the whole flow of the space itself, like we are now in the simulation part. So based on everything that you already saw, when you think about the whole planning sessions that we have throughout our PMs, the main point is that in terms of onboarding, I mean, you have a lot of information, a lot of things that you needed to process and you need to digest. And then when you came for support, like it was with me yesterday, that you have like some insights in terms of data, in terms of focus selection. So the idea now is that how we are actually like going to focus more on the planning delivery. And then basically the space, to be very honest with you, is going to be more practical space. So you're not going to be here depending on, I mean, a lot of information again that you need to process and need to digest, but it's how we can actually really work on it and like get more insights, like more in our working time. So basically this space, we're going to spend more or less 1 hour and 20 minutes here, a bit less. When actually from this 1 hour and 20 minutes, 1 hour, we are going to be working a case study. And then after that, I'm going to just wrap up the whole planning space, like with some insights in terms of planning before we close and we move. So it's basically what you can expect from the next hours. And yeah, and basically, what I want to just to introduce to the space itself is that when I was talking about like the last planning spaces and everything, basically, I mean, you already know the tools, like we already explained to you, like basically what you have like as resource, as tools to use. We also talk about data, like some formulas, some tips that can also facilitate you to get some insights. And also in the end, we also talk about focus selection and also like all the resources that we have for planning. So as I said, like then now is basically the time for practice, so we can actually make it perfect. So we can make sure that like we also get insights from all the things that you need to think when you go through the planning process itself. So the main idea of the space, as I said, I'm gonna give you a case study to get you, to get you more like in a practical situation in this sense. And for you that actually doesn't know what is a case study, just to explain very simple what is actually a case study, is that basically I'm going to give you a case in a real world context, in this way, let's say in a ISAC world context, and with some information that is going to give you some insights in terms of like, okay, what is basically the plan output, what is basically the direction that I should go based on this information and this data in this context. So it's going to be literally like something very simple. Okay, it's not that I'm going to give you like 5 spreadsheets and a lot of things that I need to analyze, but it's literally just a context that I need just to get some insights and say like, okay, this is what we're going to do. This would be the output. So it's basically what you're going to need to be working like in the next 30 minutes. So don't worry, I'm just explaining here what is case study, but I'm going to explain to you exactly what you're going to need to do. And that basically, just to give you some insights what you're going to be expecting this space, I'm going to give to you 4 different case study. So you're going to be in your tribes as we also work in the last space. So basically in this, each tribe is going to receive a different case study. Okay, so you're going to be a different ISF, each one of you. And then you're going to have 30 minutes of working time. Okay, and then after this 30 minutes of working time, you're going to come back here and you're going to have around 2 minutes of presentation. So I mean, I would say 2 or 3 minutes, depends on the output that you have and how much you have to talk to present here. And then you're going to basically find out the case study. You're also going to receive this link in the chat in this folder. So basically, just in terms of direction for the whole case study, just for you to get some insights what you're going to expect, even though the case study is different per tribe, the concept is the same. It's just the difference is that the internal, external context and the entity information is just different, but the output that you should have is the same. So basically, like how it's gonna work, each one of you, like each one of the tribes, you're gonna be basically an MC team of 21, 22. Of Isaac and then I have a fake name for the different scenarios. And then you are now in planning delivery, okay? And you have 30 minutes to define what will be the main output of planning based on the analysis and the context of the entity. Please explain the decision-making process and the main conclusions. So basically what you're gonna do here, first, just a disclaimer. The main idea that I want that you go is basically like that you think, okay, with all the resources that I have and all the planning flow and everything that you've been discussing the last, how can I say, in the last two space of planning, like what will be like the flow that you are gonna go, what kind of resource you could use, and also just a disclaimer is that I don't want that you arrive here with all the spreadsheet fields, like with all the details of saying like, well, it's going to be exactly like this is the data, we analyze this and that. Is not the point, but actually like you should focus more on the process itself to define the output. So it's not, I'm not expecting here that they're going to bring with a lot of fancy stuff, but it's just like, just to make sure that like the most important thing here that you should focus is in the process to make the decision, like what you're going to, which resource, which conversations, which discussions you should have. Okay. And then yeah, and basically the main information that I have for you. When you go to the folder itself, you're going to find all the cases and how it's going to work. You're going to be in the different tribes, right? You have basically 4 tribes. So if you're tribe 1, you're going to open the folder, you're going to see case study 1. And then like it's go like this. So just to make sure that you work in the right folder. And also like the folder is not that the case study was created exactly for your tribe, it's just randomly. But yeah, just for you to make sure that, yeah, I mean, then it doesn't matter your background or what is your entity. Okay, so that is the main thing that I have for you. So now we are gonna go for the breakout. Do you have any questions in terms of anything in case before you go? In terms of logistic for the space. Questions. Yeah, I can put the link here. Yes. Give me a second. I think it's better if I put in here. Tony, could you help me to send the screenshot of this as well in case they
Oh, I
need?
also will send to the MCB group right now.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is the link, so you can also check.
Okay, sent.
Perfect. Beautiful. So if you don't have any questions, you can go to the breakouts. And if you have any questions, you can just ask. Ta-da-da.
Hi, people, you can join your breakout.
Beautiful. So I'm gonna put in the timer here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So my question is, who wants to start? Which group wants to start first? Tribe 3, I see here in this chat. Tribe 3 wants to start. Beautiful. Beautiful. So let me check here the presentation itself. I'm gonna put here the timer on this. Oh, the Tribe 3 has a whole report. Okay, so let me present my thing. Wait, we need to be a bit patient with Google Slides. So welcome, Isaac in Birdland. You have 2 to 3 minutes to present your output.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Let's start. You only have 2 minutes, so it's a lot. The biggest things to keep in mind here is that this entity hasn't really moved away from Exchange. They are still doing it pretty hard. You can see that they have no border restriction if vaccines didn't start yet. So and there's no real change management at this point. Next slide, please. Here are the assumptions we made about the entity, just regarding timeline things, so we can talk about change management and in a way that it made sense. The main thing is that they've started, the progress has been really slow. Next slide, please. So here are the 3 strategic objectives we had in mind. Financial sustainability, we wanted to build their cash reserves to 8 months from 2. We wanted to have sustainable operations, so GP risk management 100%, and then we wanted to pilot an EWA initiative, and then we wanted to engage membership. So to improve back to 100% of membership size, because they lost half the membership in Exchange, and get enough pipeline for future years. Next slide, please. So the first thing to do in a situation like this is always cut costs. So we decided to just cut all these costs. The main one being MC stipend to reduce salary or team size. The change management is pretty chill because the network always likes it. So move on. The next thing to do is sustainable LCs. So I think the business model has to be changed. Next slide, please. Oh, go back to no. Go back to 2 slides. Sustainable LCs, next slide now. Yep, there we go. So we are assuming at this point that LCs, I'm sorry, next slide. We are assuming at this point that LCs don't have much cash, and so we have to cut affiliation fee and increase the MC to LC split in revenue in favor of, sorry, I should say MC. But I don't think MCs can take one big hit of cash in one go, so that's something that has to change. Finally, the next slide, actually I'll hand this over to V, we talk about operations.
Okay, so about operation, like for the GT products, so we keep them but we need to double check about in terms of the cost when they realize so about quarantine and stuff, how it looks like. And for the GV, we want to stop it and conduct the risk management plan. But still for the approval one, we need to proceed it. Yeah, and we shift the GV operation into EWA activities more. Yeah, okay. Shuhei, you can talk about member.
Okay, so for the membership, yeah, next.
Yeah.
Okay, so like to engage the membership for the organization, we have to create new opportunities for like downscaling the EUA initiative for LCs and like reallocation for LC people from GB to GT or EVA. Also, like we are like implementing the membership experience program. Also, like for the based on the shifting GB from EVA. So like we have to amplify and tracking short-term experiences. Yeah, that's all from us.
That's it.
Beautiful, really on time. Thank you, Isaac and Birdland. It was a very nice report, very nice insights. Wait, my timer didn't stop. Okay, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. It was a very beautiful output. I'd like to hear who is the next tribe that want to talk. Tribe 4. Okay, so let's go tribe 4. I think it's Fishland, if my memory is right. In this time. Ta-da-da. Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
Yes, welcome, Isaac in Fishland. You
Yep.
can start.
Yep, thank you very much. Okay. All right. Okay, so for Fishland, our internal context is that okay. First, let me just set the whole context before I begin. So like within our tribe, we kind of guess that Isaac and Fishland appears to be kind of new or like recently established because like they have a very unique problem of membership not being engaged but still having a like largely a high retention rate, and also leadership pipeline seeming likely okay. So and at the same time, we are largely more exchange and operations based and entity which uses it for our revenue, and also like we have just recently began working for EVA since 2020 when the pandemic hit. So like going forward, we are still going to be focusing more on EVA, but like we're also going to explore more options of OGX through BPP and OGTA. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is inference and context. So we made a few inferences about Isaac and Fishland. So members may be functionally engaged, just culture and identities being missing. And then the exchange's main revenue source is really affected by the pandemic. So our finances are very low. It's only 4 months of MOCR. And like EVA not yet that competent and haven't really been established yet, given that we have like low cash monthly reserve. And also there isn't much of a BD focus. And interestingly, Isaac and Fishland does like 3 YSFs and engages about 200 members. So like they should continue existing volunteering partnerships, engage them through EVA in the meantime, whereby we can't really do operations, and also take up like OGT or VPP and expand on ICX and OGX opportunities, more virtual means, and also like yeah. Okay, next slide. Okay, so these are some of our conclusions. So we want to focus on EVA, add BD as a key focus, change a bit on the structure that has been proposed in the first slide. So they do not really overspend on EVA. So given that our budget is tight, we can rather go for like partnership through revenue generation and also like grants from government institutions or other organizations, and then take up GTA or VPP. And also entity will be expanding in B2B initiatives. We will be focusing at the same time on membership engagement as well to ensure the strength of leadership pipeline. We also be big. Our main focus will be on finance as how to diversify revenue streams, and we'll be seeing how LCs can play strategic role in increasing finances, and also making YSF a flagship niche EVA event, and not really like 3 particular YSFs, but just upscaling their reach through marketing. Also can proceed to diversify EVA initiatives through IR engagement with the region, because our region have similar focuses on tourism and exchanges, and also we want to maybe put more EVA initiatives on the virtual front, because we can get more engagement and that will help to increase partners. And by the same time, we got demand for physical ones as well. And given that our country is not super affected, we still can continue physical ones along with the virtual ones. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Isaac in Fishland. I really appreciate one thing that like in Americas, I read the lead for the sessions in Americas, and then in this case study, I also gave time, but no one respected my time. So I really appreciate that actually you are sharing the time that you have to share. So it's very good. So you can also save time for the session. It's a very good GSP. So let me just put in here, who is the next tribe that you want to go? Tribe 2, beautiful. interesting fact, because like in America was also the same for like tribe one, like the case study one was the last one. Maybe Catalan is not that excited. I don't know. So let's go for, I think it's Dogland, this one. Yes, yes. So let's go for Dogland. Whoever's gonna share, you
Yep,
can
I'm
start.
gonna share. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so this is for my second Dogland. So we do the inferences by, giving like the green mark and also like the bold, so then we know like what are the good things that is happening in Dogland and what going to be the focus in Dogland. So the first thing that is actually good in Isaac and Dogland, the first one is that the membership is engaged, good pipeline, so no worries for that, and also good historic in BD. And then the thing that is needed to be concerned is that entities stopped to do exchanges since March 2020, and also we have like some pending realizations for IGTA in terms 2021 that is coming from the previous terms. And also the external context for this entity is that this country borders has been closed since March 2020, so that we couldn't do exchange at all, and also no prediction when the border will open again, and vaccine didn't start yet. And then the current data that we have, the differences between departments from 2021 to 21-22 is that we add one department is EWA department, and also we still have like 6 months of cash reserve, so it's pretty good. And also the total numbers for the realizations other than the pending realization is 20, and then we held one YSF engaged around 200 people. And then we can go next to the next slide. So this is the main conclusions for the all that will be the what is called like the directions for the Isaac and Dogland LCs, and also the entities of focuses. The first one is about exchange. We get to freeze all the exchange because we couldn't do the borders of the countries is still closed, and then we couldn't predict like when will be open, and so we will freeze the exchanges like all of it. And we try to shift the IGT opportunities to VPP opportunities. Maybe in Isaac it's not shifting, but we close the IGT opportunities and then we open in VPP. But when it comes to partners, we say to partners like, can we shift these opportunities to VPP? That's the first one, because we only have IGT. For the BD, it's going to be BD and EWA going to be like the two focuses departments. So for BD is how can we actually showcase the past projects, so then we can sell it to the next things that we have. And also for EWA, we can try to have like more YSF events, so then we can have wider impacts, and also we can reach more youths, and then to prepare the leads to become the membership. And also if we have like a lot of pool in this EWA, we can make them the OGX pool. If the exchange is going back, we try to open the OGX departments. And also we try to embed like the BD to this EWA projects, for example, YSF and other projects that might be happen. And also for the finances, the first one is that we can cross the budget, since we don't have, I mean, like it's still good, but we still need to cross the budget, and then we still need to do risk management for at least this next 6 months, because yeah, the next 6 months is still good. And then the membership, we need to allocate like all the exchange membership to EWA and BD, because that's going to be like the two main focuses for this entity. Other than that, it's going to be like the other thing that we do. Cool, thank you.
Oh, I was muted. Beautiful. That was a nice output. Thank you, Isaac. Oh, in Dogland, I'm having some issues to close my thing. Okay, nice. So now we are gonna move to the last but not least, Isaac in Catalan. Let me just open here. Wait, I need to have a bit of patience for Google Slides. That was adjourning. Okay, so I think you can see. In 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So you can start.
Okay, amazing. So can you move to the next slide? Okay, great. Okay, so for our context, our membership wasn't engaged. Exchange is what basically was the main focus of the entity. That's what drove everything. This entity did not know how to run EVA. This entity had no experience with BD initiatives as well. So we know that they had no experience and no knowledge of how to make partnerships and how to have those initiatives. They were just doing exchange. GTA was giving a good performance, but with everything that's happened with GV and how there are so many risks involved, they have a lot of pending realizations, and they're still planning to do something about OGV. But luckily, they've decided to suspend IGV. In the external context, the country has had its borders closed for quite some time now, and we really do not know when the borders will open and when the vaccinations are going to start again. And apart from that, so we have some operations that were running in the entity, and They have around 500 members. They have around 4 months of cash reserves, which is an issue that needs to be resolved. And there's one conflicting point in this presentation, that their total number of realizations were 100, 50 from OGTA, 50 from OGV, 50 from IGV, whereas their borders have been closed from March 2020. So we were a little confused that this is a little conflicting data. So we just made the assumption that the borders have recently closed, and in the past, in 2021, they did these realizations. Next slide. So the first thing that we had to do was define focus for the entities based on the situation that they have. I think the priority of this entity should be BD initiatives, because they need a quick revenue stream, as exchange is unreliable and they should be really moving away from all of it. And since their borders are closed and we do not know how long their borders will be closed, VPP is an alternative that they can run through, for exchange. Because see, if an entity is focused on exchange, they have experience with it, they will have a okay idea of how to run VPP as well, since they already have systems in place for physical exchange. So we can replace it with VPP. And then nextly we have EWAs. Now for EVA, they need long-lasting initiatives that require capacity building and change management. But if they can get this right, then in the long term, it will stabilize the entity and it will always give them alternative things to rely on, and it will also help to engage their members. Next slide. Okay, so I'll quickly go over all of this. BD has to start immediately. So the change management and the network downscaling has to begin before the new MC term starts in collaboration with the old MC. VPP needs to be given importance, and EVA will require the first 6 months just for change management, just for steady, building of the entire program. And in the next semester of the MC term, they can actually execute it. We all know that there's a GB resumption plan, so I don't need to go into detail for that. And the one thing they need to do is they need to reallocate their membership from exchange portfolios to BD and EVA change management and all of that. So that thing needs to happen super fast. Recruitment timelines need to be altered. And I think the overarching thing to make this entity work is network touch points with LCEBs, because if you do not have your LCs on board, you cannot do any of these things. So that was the presentation.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Catland. We have here some comments in the chat that we should have a collaboration with Fishland. That is nice. I'm happy to see all this output. Is that beautiful? Let me just share my screen, another screen, sorry. But then, okay. I just want to know if you can just drop here in the chat. What was your main conclusion overall about the activity? Not about the case study itself. Like, what was your insights? What do you think? Like what you could realize also in the presentations, or maybe going through the whole case study itself. There is anything that you could notice that you had any insights on that?
I think that when my team and I were doing the planning, it was important for us to not only have an idea of what we wanted to do, but also like how to get there. So the change management plan, particularly for entities that are quite entrenched in COVID still and haven't really moved. The how of it was a very important thing that we all talked about. And I'm quite like, I think that's just as important, because we can talk a big game about what you want to do, but if you don't know how you're going to get there, it doesn't really matter. It's just a nice spreadsheet. So yeah, I think the change management and the how is very important.
That's nice. That's nice. I'm happy to hear that. Yes, like when I actually was thinking about this this whole dynamic and this whole case study and everything, it was actually because in the end, I was not really looking for the results. Like I was not really looking for the output itself that they're gonna bring, if it's gonna be right or if it's gonna be wrong. But the main idea of the exercise itself, it was just to basically like, it's about the process, right? It was that was I was highlighting before, like when I said like, don't focus on like create a very beautiful framework or all these kind of things, but like in the thinking process, like it's about the journey. It's basically like how you are gonna basically be thinking, like what is the main steps that you need to take to reach what you want. So it's exactly like what you said, in a way of like, when I gave you different realities, is because I also want to give you the perspective that we have. I mean, every single entity in the organization like is completely different, and I mean we have some similarities depending on the reality, depending on the regions, depending on the context that you are. Yes, we have similar, but it's not the same. So what I want just to bring here as well is that like when you think about planning, when you think about the whole journey that you need to go, for sure, you have a different reality. So it means that you're going to have a different process to reach there, as well a different output. As you could see, there are people here that brought, for example, VPP as one of the solutions, for example, to mitigate the risk and like all the scenarios that they have because of like the external context. But there are people that, for example, didn't mention about VPP, but brought about maybe we can open like, for example, a GTA, or maybe we can like focus more on EWA or BD initiatives. Because the main point is not about exactly like what you're gonna do in the end, but it's basically like what is basically the whole process that you need to do, need to go based on your reality, based on the things that you need to do and everything. And I mean, and for example, I did the same, I already lived the same session in Americas. And for example, people actually brought completely different perspective from, for example, what you brought, like with the same case study. So also like who is behind the process itself has, based on the background, based on the experience, based on the memories, based on everything, like you are also going to reach a different output because also you have a different perspective on that. So I just want to make sure that like these things is going to be clear, that in the end, you don't go for planning thinking like about copy and paste or thinking about like, oh, I mean, in the end, you can always share in terms of like, I don't know, with other VCPs to get some insights and these kind of things happen and help a lot. But what I'm saying here is just not to copy and paste all the tools and all the resources that we are delivering to you without really filter that and really design that. Because in the end, when we talk about the role of the MCP in planning, is literally like how you can customize the planning and actually ask the right questions. Because in the end, you should not be the one who is going to be actually like doing the whole data analysis. I mean, if in the end you are MCP and other role, you of course need also to plan for the other role that you have. But what I want to say here, that the role of the MCP itself is that like how you can basically design your planning, you create your own planning, and basically just guide your team in terms of like what is the questions that we need to answer, what is the question that's going to drive us during this planning. Because in the end, just don't put in your mind that you need to be the specialist in every single department, the specialist to take every single decisions, because I mean, if it will be the case, in the end, we don't need an MC team, we just need an MCP. So in the end, it's just that, just to remember you that like your role here is to make sure that you're going to customize and you are actually going to guide your team on that. And you should have a specialist in your team to make sure that the output, that the answers that is expected is going to be answered based on data analysis and all the conversation that we have in all the planning space that we had. So I'm not going to give you exactly a lot of time to really do the reflection time, because we are a bit short in terms of time. But actually, I still want to bring you some perspective in terms of things that you should still think before you go for planning. 2 questions that you should at least go through before you go for planning. And I mean, you don't need to do it now, but basically just try to think like, okay, when you can actually do that, like digest after RPMs and everything. But first try to think like you need to basically map out what are basically the main actions that you still need to do from your side to have the best output of planning in your entity. Or maybe like, oh, what I need to do in terms of preparation, or maybe what I need to do in terms of the sessions, in terms of the agenda, how I should prepare my team, what are the kind of conversations that I should have, for example, in transition, in my MC to MC transition, or individual transitions that maybe after all the things that I realized that doing RPMs, not only planning sessions, but also all the space that we had, I need to include in my transition to make sure that like when I arrive in planning, I don't need to do more 1,000 of analysis. I already have these conversations, and my team already had this conversation. So try to start to think what are the actions and points that you could connect to make actually the process of planning easier. Just to not try to make a huge checklist of like, oh, I need to do 1, 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. But actually maybe you already have some space, maybe you already have that, I don't know, if you maybe already start to do like some MCM just for bone and stuff like that. Like these kind of things that you could already include as part of the process for the preparation for the delivery of planning. And also another thing that maybe, not maybe, but like for sure you need to start to think is basically, okay, now I understood, I receive a lot of information in RPMs, not only regarding planning, but also regarding like other departments, direction, some insights and everything. And basically what are still the questions that you have to answer before you start to prepare for planning. So maybe, I don't know, like I'm still not sure about how I can really implement EWA in my entity, but I really feel that I should do that because it's the direction that you want to follow. So maybe with who you need to talk, with what are the questions that you still need to clarify to implement it in your entity. So these kind of things not only about like the implementation of the plan itself, but also what are the pending conversations and pending points from other departments that it would be important to implement in planning. So just try to have this reflection time, not exactly I would say now, but at least like after RPM, start to write down and all these things, because then it can support you as well to not just arrive in the day of planning when you need to deliver planning and like don't know a lot of things that you need just to figure out. But yeah, it was one of the points that I just want to make sure that you go through this whole process. And then actually I also have my wrap up space in these last 10 minutes that we have here together. So kind of just drive you to the whole flow of these 3 planning spaces that we had. And basically the first thing that I actually want to remind you is that, I mean, we also talk about that like since the first time of the planning, is basically that, I mean, remember, you have a dream, right? And I mean, when I say that you have a dream, is an idea of like you have objective, you have a reason why you apply to be MCP. You have a reason why you apply and like what you want to be remembered for, or what you want to leave as a legacy in your term. I'm pretty sure that you didn't apply just to say like, oh, I just want to close this entity by the end of my term. I'm pretty sure that you didn't do that. So you have like a clear goal that you want to achieve. And I'm pretty sure that it's like, I mean, you have a goal and there is still a lot of all the goals to be decided, but like you have a big objective and you have like in your mind where you want to go. So you have that already. And I mean, you have the structure, even though if you don't still have your full team or you don't have your team selected yet, at least you have in your mind like, okay, what is the kind of roles that I need to have in my team to make sure that you can achieve this dream together, right? To make sure that the organization is going to be driven in the right direction. So you also have this structure. And in some case of some of you also have the people, because you already know that in terms of background. I mean, that's why you select them and everything. And now actually like that it was the main objective of the planning space overall in RPM is that you have direction. And also you have basically the resources as well, because basically what I wanted to make sure that is going to be the main output of this space that we had is not that I'm going to say here, like, guys, this is the framework you are going to use like in this way, and you're going to use this tab, and this tab. No, well, actually like what I wanted to provide is that like, these are all the materials, these are all the resources that you have. And then now the only thing that you need to do is basically understand, okay, what actually makes sense for me. Because in the end, there is 1,000 of tabs, as you could see, 1,000 of tools, 1,000 of things that you can check. But I just don't want that you go there and feel that you need to do everything that is there just because it's there. No, I want that you literally create your own planning tool. And when I say create, it's not create from scratch, but actually like how you can customize, how you can design in the right direction. So it was the main objective of this space itself. And then now is basically up to you. I mean, in the end, it's your role as MCP to really drive. Of course, until you deliver planning, there is still also a long journey in terms of preparation and everything, and like also the support of the regional office for you that we are also going to talk about that. But basically, just to make sure that like, I mean, all the resources and other direction that we could provide, at least in this space, we make sure to fulfill it, to make sure that you're going to be ready for that. And just some small things to keep in mind before we close the space for planning is that first, as I said, don't copy and paste all the frameworks and tools. Create and design your own planning. Like you need to create and design your own goals in the end. So like use it as tools and frameworks to get insights. And also in terms of data analysis, as we also talked yesterday in the space that we have, data analysis is not only for planning, it should be part of your role, it should be part of your routine and all the conversations that we have. So make sure that not only for you, but also for your MC team, because this is basically what's gonna drive and drive your conversations, to make your conclusions and everything. And one of the things that I also mentioned before already is that in the end, focus and prioritization, you define and drive your planning. And when I say that, it's not only about the focus selection of the operation that we have. That is just to also be very sure about that. It's also that, like, I mean, you have the focus selection that you need to define. Yes, it's going to drive your planning, but also in the process of the plan itself, don't get stuck on like, oh, the only priority that I need to define is basically my operational focus. No, the whole plan is actually a whole prioritization, right? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure that every single one of you as MCP and also your MCVP, they have a lot of dreams. Like you have a lot of things. We always want to do a lot of things. So we need also to make sure that the planning is going to be concise and it's going to have a clear objective. And you can also make sure that you're going to prioritize what is going to be the strategy that you will need to play there inside the departments, inside the entity, because it's very important. You need to you cannot do everything at the same time. That's basically what I want to say. You actually, even though not only the operation focus, but also your strategy, you know, activates in the routine that you want to play with, you need to make sure that in every conversation, you need to prioritize what is more important for me. Another point is basically that we also talk, that's basically planning saves time and effort as well prioritization. So also connected to that, how we can make sure that like also the things that we are putting as a priority is actually going to save time and effort and or not actually add more things that you need to do. Because when you also think about a role, I mean, every single role in this organization, like we always have already a lot of things that you need to do. And always we come out in planning with more 10,000 of things that you need to do. And then you're like, oh, but then we are like, oh, but I don't have time. Oh, but I'm feeling so tired because I'm feeling that all the time I'm working. Of course, because normally you already have a JD that is very huge. And then normally when you go to planning, we also add more extra stuff in your role because you're like, oh, that's important, that's important, that's important. So also like try to think in a way that you're going to have planning that you're not going to be adding extra stuff, but actually you're going to be adding things that is already connected to your goal. And then that is going to bring you results. That is not that you're going to just basically add a lot of strategy that it was not related with your role at all. And then now you need to do your role and you need to do this new role that you define in planning. So also just make sure that like all these conversations are in place in doing your planning. And also just to close like with this idea is that basically planning you drive your everyday conversations. So the conversations that we have in monthly review, the conversation that we have in MCMs, quarter reviews, everything, like it's basically all the conversation that you're going to have is going to be based on planning. And when I say that, don't be scared of like, oh, I cannot change my planning, or I cannot, like, I need to do the perfect planning. No one's gonna do the perfect planning. That's why we have 1,000 of reviews in Isaac. We have replanning a lot of things because in the end, planning is gonna drive you, and of course you need to have like a clear direction. But of course, the next like reviews and conversation that you're gonna have is to assure that you are going actually in the right direction. And if it's not, you are gonna still have time to like reshape it, or maybe this strategy is better, or maybe these things is better. So I also have it in mind that is like these things is gonna drive you a lot like for the whole term, but also don't be scared in a way that like, oh, I cannot fuck up. I mean, you cannot fuck up, but in the end, you still have a lot of time to review as well the decision that we took in planning and everything. So just want to give you that. And then now I would like to invite someone to the stage in these last 4 minutes that we have, just to talk about the regional office support that they're gonna receive for planning as well. So Ton, you can.
Sure. Thank you, Julia. So yeah, so these are the way forward for planning like we will provide as regional office. So yeah, after like I think like after these 3 amazing planning sessions, they were Isir and Julia. Even for me, when I was a CPI at that moment, I always been amazed by the framework and tool. But the thing is that I need to digest and also to seek for some like really great support can support me to have a planning experience better. So yeah, at that moment, I didn't ask for the service from RO in the beginning of a planning, so I fuck up a lot of things. And after that, is to just share our replanning. I think things is getting more clear understanding and also be more organized to work on it. And also, yeah, another reason is that I just directly to do my entity planning right after the RPN. So everything turns out drama. But no worries, so that's the reason why we're here to talk about like all the service we can provide to you from regional office side. So there are the 3 main topics we would like to support you, and also some timeline to be keep in mind. So first is about our chair service. So originally our suggestion, like the planning deadline will be, submission will be by 2nd of July, like you need to close your entity planning, also submit all the output there. But like, because regional office need to do replanning, so that's the reason why we, the chair service we can provide only happen till 27th of June. And also these are the service we can provide is like provide an entity service provider and make sure the entity are aligned to global and regional direction and facilitate the team experience and strategy review. So these are the things we can definitely provide as a chair service and based on what you need. So 6 of our regional managers, of course, will be in there, but we will ask your preference and also what kind of needs you need from your entity, and then we assign the best part of the chair. Second, replanning consultancy, which is like we will deliver by our regional managers. So like it's understand about whole context of planning process and support entity to organize the planning, no matter agenda, chair service, facilitate materials, planning tool, and process clarification. So you're not thinking about, okay, if you don't invite our as a chair, like you won't receive any planning service. Sorry, and we clarify, it's planning service, so planning consultancy. So yeah, like it's for regional office side, like 3 of our ED buddies, like we will definitely provide you, like if you have any question or you want to lead your planning process by your own, it's okay, because in the end of the day, MCP are the final response person to take ownership about the whole planning process. Chair just help you to facilitate your team experience better, and also to observe some points and also bring some resourcing. So that is the thing we have. So in the planning consultancy, we'll definitely provide like the least thing, and also to ensure how is the progress of our planning. Any support we can always open for feedback, and also to one-to-one to talk about how the situation look like. And also final part, our feedback by entity. So once if you submit our planning framework and also all the planning output on time, we'll definitely give you the feedback and also follow up about feedback implementation in each function and support the check in the replanning progress. Okay, Julia, can you help me click next slide? Thank you. So yeah, I will release the planning survey right after this RPM, because I think you need to look into your time by when you select the whole thing and also start your planning process. So for sure, we can do the sensing phone. I know some entity you have finished your planning, for example, I say in Japan, I say in Thailand. So you can seek info if you are like the want to have the quarter review. Also, it's in the duration. If you would like to ask for help, you can approach me first, because I'm also your entity coach. So we can figure it out what kind of time will be best time to provide a service to these entities that are in a different like the timeline. So yeah, this survey I will provide for you for sure. And next slide. Yes, these are the planning consultation support. Okay, 3 of us, why we are looking so dark. I don't know why, but it's okay. So yeah, these are the entities we can definitely provide a service. So just you can screenshot and so take a note that I think I will also can make a like the group to let you know about which like the entity will provide a service. So the planning consultancy, how does it work look like? So usually like we will open for on-demand consultancy. You can book the one-to-one with me always, with us always, and also to have your clarification based on your planning process. So Lisa entity like also like originally is like the group culture entity from our side. So yeah, I think you'll get familiar with us already. So yeah, I think these are the entity will definitely provide a service as planning consultancy to support you how to organize the agenda, planning framework, and tools better. If you forget what is the planning methodology or how it's tool, how to use, you can directly approach me. We'll get the clear clarification. Final slide. Yeah, next one. Thank you.
Beautiful. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
I was.
Thank you, Julia. So yeah, these are our feedback by entities. So these are things we'll start to work on. So if you have any department questions, these are department we're willing to give you some advice and also get some like the way forward from this part. For example, ED people for sure we are deliver the ED, but we also have specific department. For example, I'm responsible for finance and OD, Per responsible by TM and EWA, and also Isru will give the general whole view as the like entity feedback. 3 of us will give it to you. And Sarah will respond for BD, GTA, ICX, and also B2B marketing. Fatih will responsible for OGX and also B2C marketing. Okay, my series announced. Okay, it's not a business. Final, like the Sumi will provide a BD service. So about like your planning and direction about this part. So yeah, feel free to get like the least consultancy or even feedback. We'll give you feedback from this department. But for, don't forget, like you can also ask some question related to this department. So yeah, that's all for the announcement. So we will release like the chair survey form directly right after this RPM. So look forward to work with all of you and hope you have a really amazing planning journey.
Beautiful, Tony. Such a beautiful regional office. Thank you for the information. I hope it's also useful for the MCPs. Not I hope it's useful for the MCPs. I hope they just feel that it's useful. But that's what I wanted to say. So just to close this space, I just want to remind you the important links that you have. So you already have like all the links and access to everything about the planning resource. And still, if you have any questions, I only received one question actually so far from Europe, but if you have any questions about the framework or anything regarding that or what we talk about planning, you can also approach me, or you can also send questions here, or you can also talk with the regional office. They also like will be able to answer you and to support you on that. So yeah, so it was basically the main things that I have for you in this space. I really hope the 3 space that you have for planning was very useful for you. And that's it from my side. I hope that you enjoyed the last days of RPMs. And that's it. I see you soon. I don't know when, but we are gonna see each other. Don't worry about that. So thank you, people. Enjoy.